All set, done reading. How sweet was that? I told you. Oh, sometimes these little excerpts are just the most adorable little excerpts. I marked my text, both the front and the back. I want to show you all the things I was marking while I was reading. And these are the things that stood out to me on my plot summary chart. That gold was dead. Silas once, it said he was a notorious miser who spent a lot of time trying to make money and just keep money flowing. However, Epi is alive. So once he adopted his daughter, he realized what life was. Epi is not only alive, she's fresh life. She forced Silas to start to see life again. It does mention as he's watching her along the banks that he sees some herbs and different things that he had once noticed before he hadn't seen in a while. And while Epi forces Silas to love, gold forced him to work. So he's in this new kind of thing as being a dad. My theme is just this unfolding, I couldn't think of a better word, but this just unleashing maybe love that a dad has for his new adopted daughter. How sweet. So let's see how we did predicting what the questions were going to be. Question 1, which choice best describes a major theme of the passage? This should just match exactly what I had written down for theme. Unfolding love dad has for his adopted daughter. The corrupting influence of materialistic society? Nope. The moral purity of young children? It really wasn't about that. The bittersweet brevity of childhood naivete. No, it's really not about the children. The restorative power of parental love. That was it. That matches our theme word for word, a restorative power of parental love. Now that we found our first theme question, now we're going to be on the lookout for the rest of the theme questions, and they have to match this. Good. All right. As compared with Silas's gold, Epi is portrayed as having more vitality than gold. Yeah. Durability? No. Protection than gold? No. Self-sufficiency? No. Vitality. Which statement best describes a technique that the narrator uses to represent Silas's character before he adopted Epi? The narrator emphasizes Silas's former obsession with wealth. True. By depicting his gold as requiring certain behaviors on his part. I do believe that's exactly what I wrote. Gold forced him to work. She forces him to love. Gold forced him to work. I like A so far. The narrator underscores Silas's former greed. That's not true at all. The narrator hints at Silas's former antisocial attitude. There was no evidence of an antisocial attitude. By contrasting his present behavior towards his neighbors with his past behavior toward them, not true. They said 2 words about his past antisocial behavior. Was not a theme. The narrator demonstrates Silas's former lack of self-awareness by implying that he is unable to recall life before Epi, and that's not true. The whole reading was a contrast between what he was like before Epi and what he was like after. The narrator uses the phrase making trial of everything in line 7 to present Epi as every other kid in the room is going to go back to line 7. Let's try to see if we can find an adjective describing Epi without looking back, narrow it down to 2, and if we have to look back, we'll go back. Was Epi friendly? We were seeing the impact of her through Silas's eyes and the different things, so we can't say that there was any evidence of Epi being a friendly young child. She was definitely curious. Disobedient, there was no evidence of that. Judgmental, there was no evidence of that. So we just saved time by not looking back. According to the narrator, one consequence of Silas adopting Epi is that, again, this is a theme question. This should match exactly what we chose for over here. So we're looking for him to be restored through love. He has renounced all desire for money. That there's no evidence of that. So he better understands his place in nature. Now, he better understands his place in fatherhood, in being a parent, sure, but in nature, no. He seems more accepting to help from others. There was 0 evidence of that. He looks forward to a different kind of future. I could show you. I don't think it's there. I remember underlining that. I was trying to see where it was. New things that would come up in the, he was carried them away to the new things that would come with the coming years. So he's looking for the future. So absolutely D. Number 6, which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? So again, he's looking for a different type of future. One not as a miser, only working for money, but now one as a father, looking forward to the future. So are we in lines? I'm trying to see if we can get rid of anything. The last one was in line 7. That means we can't get rid of anything. So lines 9 through 11, the gold to itself. The gold has kept its thoughts on an ever-repeating circle, leading to nothing but itself. I do not believe that that says that he was looking forward to a different type of future. Lines 11 to 16, but epi to years. But epi, I liked the but. That's where I started to see the contrast. That's why that's circled. Epi was an object compacted of changes and hopes that forced his thoughts onward. How far are we going with this one? For years. And carried them far away from their old eager pacing toward the same blank limit. Carried them away with the new things that would come in the coming years. It says it word for word. That's absolutely the answer. It says it word for word. Which function does the second paragraph serve as the passage as a whole? Let's see, and before we look back, because there's 12 lines. So let's see if we can get rid of any that we know are not true before we look back. So could it present the particular moment at which Silas realized that Epi was changing him? I don't hate it because that does kind of go with our theme, so we'll keep it. It highlights Silas's love for Epi by depicting the sacrifices that he made for her. Well, to tell you the truth, he didn't ever mention that giving up his lust for money was a sacrifice. So I don't like the word sacrifice. I'm going to get rid of that one. It illustrates the effect that Epi has on Silas by describing the interaction between them. I like that one a lot. Or it reveals a significant alteration in the relationship between Silas and Epi. There's no alteration. We were only given a tiny little bit of information, and during that time, their relationship did not change. So between A and C, before we look back, I want to see if there's one that just can't be wrong. Both of these do have a bit to do with the theme. So typically they really are theme questions. Epi was changing him into a father, and it illustrates the effect that Epi has on Silas by describing the interaction between them. One of these can't be wrong. One is a little more specific, a particular moment at which Silas realized that Epi was changing him. We would have to identify that particular moment. However, look at C. It illustrates the effect that Epi has on Silas by describing the interaction between them. The interaction between them could be a particular moment. So C is like a little more broad, and it really honestly is the one that can't be wrong. If I look between the two, they're very similar. A has a very specific little thing in there, and C is the one that can't be wrong. So all day long I'm picking C. And I don't have to look back because it's right. In describing the relationship between Epi and Silas, the narrator draws a connection between Epi's. Was she physically vulnerable? Not once did it ever say anything about a physical vulnerability. Expanding awareness? Yeah. And Silas's increasing engagement with life? That matches our theme. Her boundless energy? Maybe, as she's running along the banks, but Silas's insatiable desire for wealth? No, there's not. And physical growth and Silas's painful perception of his own mortality hasn't come up. Her physical growth is inferred only because instead she's 3. So we know we're gonna latch onto that. We know she's gonna grow. It never really talked about that anyway. So B. Number 9, which choice provides the best evidence to the previous question? Again, we're looking for her expanding awareness. So as she's discovering the world and as he's watching her discover the world and his increasing engagement with life. Well, we know that number 6 was lines 11 through 16. So we can totally get rid of that one. And this one goes to line 65, so we can't get rid of that. So we are looking for her expanding awareness and Silas's increasing engagement with life. We'll start on line 30, and when to flowers on 41. And when the sunshine grew strong and lasting, so the buttercups were thick with meadows, Silas might be seen in the sunny midday or in the late afternoon when the shadows were lengthening under the hedgerows, strolling out the uncovered head to carry Eppie beyond the stone pits to where the flowers grew. Very pretty little scene depicted there, but it doesn't say anything about her expanding awareness and his engagement with life. So no. C, lines 46 to 48, sitting again. Let me move it up. Sitting on the banks in his way, Silas began to look for the once familiar herbs again. Oh, his life is opening up. And as the leaves, with their unchanged outline and marking, lay in his palm, there was a sense of crowding remembrances from which he turned away timidly. Let me see where I'm ending here. I'm getting lost in it. Again. Up, I went too far. Sitting to again. So pretty. I guess I got lost in the reading. Don't do that. I got lost in the reading. Sitting on the banks in this way, Silas began to look for once familiar herbs again. Nice, but it really doesn't say anything about Eppie's expanding awareness. So, you keep that one. And then lines 53 to 57, as the consciousness. As the child's mind was growing into knowledge, his mind was growing into memory. They're both growing. As her life unfolded, his soul, long stupefied in cold, narrow prison, was unfolding too, and trembling gradually into full consciousness. That says it word for word. She has an expanding awareness, an expanding consciousness, synonyms, and Silas is increasing engagement with life. Absolutely. And as used on line 65, find most nearly means. So get rid of that. Eppie was 3 years old. She developed a good, a great. Let's go with that. She developed a good capacity for mischief, just like 3-year-olds should, or a great capacity for mischief, just like 3-year-olds should. Is it acceptable? Good or great? No. Is it delicate? Does that mean good or great? No. Ornate? Does that mean good or great? No. Keen? Means it's good. That is quick. We're done. Fiction section over. Moving on. We predicted questions. A lot of the answers, if you noticed, came from where I marked the text. I'm sure you marked the text exactly the same way. Once I saw that but right there, I knew that there was going to be a contrast, that it was going to be contrasting Silas's wealth with his new role as a father. We got our theme. We matched it in actually 4 of the questions. Numbers 1, 5, 7, and 8 were all matched based on theme. We answered the question because we knew what the theme was. We got the theme right. So our next section will be social science. There's a table. I want you just to read the social science. What we do with social science is somebody wanted but so, and read for theme. So mark it as you're reading. Look for somebody wanted but so. Remind yourself. I'm going to circle dates. There's any research design. And read for theme. Remind yourself what you're doing while you're reading. Again, doing all this heavy lifting before you get into the reading and before you get to the questions saves time and you are predicting what the questions are going to be. I will meet you after we're done reading our social science, and don't look at the table. See you soon.